I love video games and I've played loads of really good ones, but if your parents couldn't afford the latest hardware or just plain old hated you, there's every chance you had subpar gaming experiences as a kid. Let's look at the most upsetting ones possible in a piece I like to call the top 5 brand new worst games for old consoles. 5. If your parents got you an Atari Jaguar, you might have thought things couldn't get any worse. Released in 1994, it is a miserable piece of rubbish, but incredibly, games were released for it until 2002. This is the last one, Battlesphere Gold, an unforgivably poo piece of software that barely looks like an improvement over the Star Wars arcade game released by Atari nearly 20 years earlier. At least its publisher, Scatologic, had the decency to put a reference to poo in their own name. Released the same year as titles like Super Mario Sunshine and Grand Theft Auto Vice City, don't believe the people that say Battlesphere was actually good. They've just got Stockholm Syndrome. 4. At 4, it's Frogger. That looks like a good version of Frogger, you might be thinking. It is. It's arcade perfect. But then it should be. It was released in 1998 as the final game for the Mega Drive, 17 years after the original hit the arcades. There was also a version released in 1998 for the Super NES, but at least that version had a graphical update, although it's so ugly you might wish they hadn't bothered. While others were playing Half-Life, Ocarina of Time or Resident Evil 2, some kids were opening a game-shaped box under the Christmas tree this year to discover a lovingly wrapped frog turd. 3. People often say that FIFA's basically the same game each year, repackaged with minor tweaks. But PS1 owners in 2004 would tell you to shut your stupid mouth, as this comparison with the same game on PS2 that year proves. It's fair to say you can really smell the polygons on the PS1 version. Whilst in no way a justification for bullying, you can at least see the bully's point. Utter plop. 2. 1995 was an incredible year for platformers, with the arrival of the beautiful Rayman on PS1. If you had an NES, you might have thought your platforming days were over, but, in Europe at least, gamers got their hands on a brand new title in the form of this incredible adaptation of Disney's The Lion King. Incredible in the sense that it's difficult to believe that this game, despite coming out some 7 years after Super Mario Bros. 3, manages to look at least 7 times worse than it. They didn't even bother to colour this level in. Bum candy. 1. And at number 1, we come full circle with another Atari anti-classic. Incredibly, despite the Atari VCS being released in 1977, people were still making games for it over a decade later. Clacks Seen here was released in 1990. That's the same year gamers got their hands on Super Mario World for the Super NES. How Atari had the audacity to release this pile of garbage, I've no idea. Even more incredibly, the Atari VCS wasn't discontinued until 1992, which is stupid. And that concludes my top 5 brand new worst games for old consoles. If you liked it, please do like, comment, subscribe and share it around everywhere, because some of the stuff on my channel would have had more views if I just screamed it outside my house. Bye!